Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault, and today in front of us is the Ultimate Collector Series Imperial Star Destroyer set number 75252, and wow, do my fingers hurt. I was building all day yesterday, a lot into the early hours this morning to get it finished, and it's a great perfect storm combination of a lot of big plates that you really have to press together well for these larger details, and then tons of tiny little greebling bits that can also make your fingers raw in a slightly different way. So it really is kind of a perfect combination to really get your dexterity points up when building this model. It's absolutely awesome. 4,784 pieces, sells for $700. And big thanks to the LEGO group for sending this set over to us to do a review. It's an absolutely epic one, and I can't wait to show you guys all the cool details. I'm going to be showing you not just the builder instructions and box, but I'm going to be doing a full comparison with this set and the original one from 2001, 2002. I think that was its release year. So there are two exclusive minifigures, but before I do that, I'm actually going to focus on the details of this ship, because really that is the main focus point. That is really the main thing that everybody gets drawn towards the most. So it is kind of hard to figure out where to start with a model that is as big as this one here. There are just so many wonderful little details to get lost in when taking closer looks at this thing, and it's an absolutely epic set from a distance considering its massive footprint. You can see I'm also you can see a bit of the background here, which I normally try to avoid, but because this thing is 110 centimeters long, I just thought it wouldn't even be worthwhile trying to get this thing to fit perfectly within the gray backdrop. So anyways, I guess we can start with its very first interactive function. And that's it right there. That's the whole function. It has the ability to fold up and down. There you go. That's this is primarily a display piece. So you can't really do anything with the model. It is really just here for admiring. So let's admire some of the closer bits right here, right in the center. There are all kinds of pieces used to make up the greebling details, but I kind of like that there are a consistent set of lots or a consistent set of molds that the designers stuck with. Not only does that make it, of course, easier on production, not having 10,000 different little pieces to make up every tiny little detail, which of course can happen in a custom build setting, but also it keeps a pretty consistent look throughout the ship when you look closer up here. So you can see some hinge pieces there. That's actually similar to what the old model had, but there's all kinds of stuff. Tractor treads, that relatively new 1x1 half cylinder rounded piece is there. Tons of bullion pieces in gray. Of course, there's lots of combinations between studded bricks and tiled bricks, and I don't know how many. I could probably check in the back of the instruction booklet, but a million, so many little ice skate pieces, and they look awesome as these smaller details. On the back, there's probably some more unique ones, and then from this angle here, I just wanted to point out a few different detail combinations that I particularly like these little clipped bits here. With the grill piece, you can see a pan. Great combination of bricks there, and then moving up towards the head, I really like that they've got the gray BB-8 head piece, but molded in light bluish gray. That's a really wonderful detail. Also, something that might not come across to you immediately, but something that my brother noticed almost the moment he walked into the studio seeing the completed set. He was looking at the greebling and he went, "Oh great, this is stuff that won't break off too easily." And he's totally right. I actually built the majority of this at my house and then stuffed this thing in my car, just in the backseat of my Honda. Didn't fall over, no tipping, but also I've moved this model twice now. I have yet to knock off a single piece of any kind, which I really like. And I've been kind of floating around these turrets here, so might as well take a closer look at the main design. There's a different cannon in the back. I'm sure this is like a super accurate detail to the one that's perhaps seen within the original Star Wars archive. So you've got the slightly different build for a laser cannon in the back. The turret is a little bit longer here. The barrels are, I suppose, and then there are three of the identical ones as you move forward. Everything can move around. It's not even ratcheted in. It actually has the ability to slide around relatively easily. I think I can just... I don't want to pop it off because I was kind of holding the bottom of the plate with my hand as I snapped these bits on, so if I pop them out, who knows, it might be annoying or difficult to pop them back in. But I really love the construction here. So many of these, what are they, 1x2 plates with the rounded corners, open studs. One of my new favorite pieces just of all time within the last year or two whenever they came out. Relatively recent piece. You get a ton of them in light bluish gray, which I think is extremely useful because so many spaceships are made in this color. Here are some details of the structure from the back, and I do want to point out right now that on occasion you will be able to see a little bit of color in the model, which is, I mean, obviously unintentional. There's no green or red or orange highlights on a ship like this, but the internal structure is very colorful because they wanted to make it easy to build, and there are some very tiny gaps here and there. It's not too distracting, but it is something that on occasion, and especially if you're really looking up close, you will be able to see. So anyways, here are just some different details all along the back of the ship here, but really I think probably some of the best detailing are the engines down below. So here's what the ship looks like from the back. This was probably my favorite part to construct, just in terms of building techniques. They were so easy to attach and build independently from the body. That's really how this whole build went, is you build a big old chunk and then you just kind of snap it on in a few easy steps. This area here has a few smaller modules, especially you can see some of the plate detailing that goes behind some of these smaller engines. Has a great way of just attaching with a couple of Technic pins. Really, really nice. And then I think a lot of people will notice, and I think we're perhaps excited for, let me turn the light down a little bit, but yes, those are the Millennium Falcon cockpit pieces that came from the latest Millennium Falcon. The mold has been used a handful of other times, but in light bluish gray with no printing or detailing, you get 3 pairs, which is pretty cool. There's a few different barrel pieces. Let's change up the angle, actually. There's a few different barrel pieces that make up the internal structure of these smaller thrusters here. You've got a larger barrel piece and a smaller one, both in light bluish gray there. But just in general, I love the combination of pieces here. You've got these fun little jumper pieces that are attached to the inside of the plates that are angular, so that actually lines up with the point of the ship. Also, this is just a cool shot, so I'm finding an excuse to show you guys. But you can see just how smooth. There's a little bit of roughness to the way those plates rest there. It's really not that rough at all, though it's very smooth as you move all the way down the line of the ship. And there's some really fun greebling bits along here. I especially like those hinge pieces with the combinations of those little bullion. That looks great. But really, looking along the edge, there's tons of fun things to notice. Also, I suppose there is another interactive function. It's just another turret you can move. It's on either side. It's on a little mixel joint here with a little bit of friction, so it stays in any place that you push it, which is really nice. And each of these little turret cannons, I'm assuming, should all be kind of pointing in tandem together, but yeah, you can move them individually if you want it. And from this angle, you can also see the greebling on the sides just a little bit more. It's sort of similar, though slightly different from the stuff that you might have seen from the higher up points like here. Also, here is the model from the front forward view, and I'm showing you guys this just so you can see its symmetry. I like that there's a little bit of asymmetry here. You can see just the tiniest bit of greebling detailing. Actually, some of the larger sort of chunks that are on either side of the panels are a little bit different shaped, which is nice. And yeah, it's almost perfectly the same, and you can also see that middle line in the very center. Actually, let me fix that while I'm here. It was on a little twisty joint, so now it's perfectly lined up. But there you can see there's a little bit of black gapping here and there. When you shine the light directly into it, like if you're in a really well-lit room that's got light shining directly into the front there, you can see some gray, so that's better. But ultimately, from most angles, you're just not going to see the gray underneath that second layer. It's mostly going to be knocked out by shadow. This by far is the number one thing that maybe bothers me on the model, just because it really is such an easy to see large gap, especially towards the front there on the nose. Back here, not so much. In fact, they do a pretty good job by having those little pieces kind of crisscross back and forth with each other. So where there are larger gaps, they did manage to just fill them in as much as they could, but without those pieces getting in the way of making the assembly very, very easy. Because the assembly of this model is actually very easy. Snapping all the plates onto the bottom and top came extremely well. I honestly I couldn't believe how fluid it was getting all these panels on and off. So I think that's part of the reason why perhaps there was a way to maybe flush up those pieces by, you know, on either side, that's like, what, half a plate or something? That's what they would have needed to do. So it is kind of a weird, finicky little thing. They probably would have been able to do it. But yeah, so that is kind of too bad. I thought that was going to be filled in a little bit better. And then, cool, right there, you see that little panel piece with the corners right in the center. That is the bridge. That is the actual command bridge for where this Star Destroyer holds the main commanding crew. Now, you might have seen some other shots of this already, but the Tantive 4 is also here, just like from the original set. Remember, this display set is also taking over an actual scene. This is Princess Leia's ship running from Darth Vader's Star Destroyer when she's got the plans for the Death Star. So, construction is basic. I think it's very much a caricature of the Tantive 4 at this size. You've got the 11 engines in the back, very, very large. You can see the antenna here, extremely large for its size. Very, very nice piece used for the shape. I like that. Though this little gap here in the front I think looks a little bit wonky. Very thin here. There's, you know, it looks so much like the Tantive 4, or I should say a blockade runner in general from afar. I think that's really what it's meant to do, is you can see the general shape of that ship in comparison with such a large, massive model like this. Now let's see how well I can get away with lighting the underside of the ship. You know, not much to write home about, but I do like that it is still just as nicely detailed from the bottom as it is from the top. The reality is this ship doesn't have as much going on the bottom like it does on the top. You can see this main module here. This, I believe, is the power generator, that sort of dome shape. Fits on actually directly to the main bit of the frame. You can put your hand directly on it, and actually you can put your hands on most of the underside of the ship, which is really nice. And then from this angle you can't really see it, so I'm gonna have to change it. I've done a very strange thing. I'm actually holding a light upside down right now. There's two different openings. Technically there's a small one in the front that a lot of people forget about, but this is the main hangar that you can see here. There's also, I'm looking through the camera lens to find it, there's also this little TIE fighter that's attached. Oop, took off the whole module here. Little build for a TIE fighter, a little bit oversized obviously. Normally he can clip on kind of like this, but in reality what you really want to do is attach the Tantive. Personally, I think it looks pretty awesome in the hangar, and I really like that this just isn't some random open cavity on the bottom of the ship, but instead you've actually got a hangar, you know, kind of sort of tucked away. It's a nice place to keep the Tantive also in case you don't want it displayed on the side of the ship like I showed earlier. Now I sort of skipped by it earlier, but here are the two figs just sort of standing there, no like little plaques for them. They stand on either side of this main plaque, which shows the Star Destroyer. This is the Devastator, specifically, I think that's the name. And you have some basic ideas or some basic logistical information about the ship, similar to how all of the UCS stickers look, even with the same sort of color combination, which is just black background and a blue outline. Not necessarily a blueprint, but just sort of a monochrome blue outline of the ship. First guy up here is the Imperial Officer. I think he does have an exclusive print for the body, ever so slightly, and this is the first time an officer has had dual molded legs, so by any means he is still an exclusive figure. Possibly even, yeah, actually, definitely the face print is also exclusive just to him, but once again, he's just an officer. It's just a guy to have. Usually they're more background characters if you were to use him in a diorama or something like that, but he does come in this extremely expensive set, so something tells me that he'll be at least a little bit expensive to collectors just because he's not that easy to get. And the same thing goes for this crew member. He's a little better because you have actually nice arm printing, which is cool. Also leg printing I think just looks better here for this guy than the dual molded legs. Possibly that is possibly an exclusive expression for his face, though Something tells me, I don't know. I'm a little bit 50-50. I guess we'll have to find out in the wash later. When this thing's like uploaded onto BrickLink, you can really tell. But anyways, arm printing, amazing. Good. This guy's a little better, but once again, still a background character. Alrighty, so I couldn't help myself. I've got the comparison now between our latest set number 75252 and the old one, set number 10030 Star Destroyer. And you can really see that they almost look like different class ships, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to the layer detailing along the top of both Star Destroyers. The newer one is much lower, the actual body is lower, and the layers themselves are lower. Even the angle for the sort of the neck behind there is that it's just everything's bent down a little bit more, and that actually is a bit more accurate. If you were to compare this to what the Star Destroyers looked like from the films, essentially what the designers did is they went in, the lead designer went in and really cleaned everything up. I really like that the old one is in the old gray, and that we really couldn't get a lot of the dust off of it because it really differentiates itself within the color as well. I like the way that sort of turned out. And yeah, I'm just absolutely loving both of these ships together in the same room. They're gonna look freaking epic when we put them in our displays. But yeah, so look at the back detailing between the new one and then the old. Really no comparison. Like, honestly, this isn't bad. Really isn't bad. They did a good job of keeping all the studs sort of showing on the outside, which is kind of nice. There's a little bit of the underside of the studs showing here, but just the sheer amount of detailing that's added to the interior of this area, it's just almost uncomparable. They really do look so much different. And these engines are made of those old wheel pieces, so quite a lot different. Anyways, so I'm just jumping back in very quickly because I did want to show you guys just a quick comparison, not between the original and the old, but I also wanted you guys to see this Star Destroyer in context with the custom Resurgent class Star Destroyer. So obviously this is the next generation from the First Order from Commander Keller. You can actually get the building instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys, linked in the description below. Ha ha ha, shameless plug. But for real though, when you take a look close up here, you can see his is, I would say 50-50, maybe even slightly more than 50% smooth tile detailing on the outside with a lot more line detailing, a lot more intricate line detailing. I think that is probably the best way to really capture a large scale Star Destroyer look, because really the tops of these ships, when you look at them within the context of the movies, they're pretty smooth. For the most part, they're pretty smooth, and when they get rough right around here, and there's a few little plate details, but for the most part, when they're smooth, they're quite smooth. So I think that smooth look, personally, is probably the best way to go when coming at a very large UCS look, but I would like to get your opinion in the comments below. All right, jumping back into the regular part of the video, but first, Ramon has blue hair.
I gotta match my water bottle to really sync up with my style.
It'll probably get light enough to match.
Yeah, honestly.
It'll turn green before, though.
No, it'll get lighter, then turn green.
It's gonna
list of this.
All right, start taking bets, guys. Is it gonna get closer to this color or this color? Ramon's hair in the next video.
Next week.
Yeah, it's getting late really fast. Yeah. All right, now I'm cutting back to the video. So I was surprised to see that they made the manual a giant bound book like the old one. Maybe they did that for nostalgic reasons. Personally, I was hoping for multiple small ones so I could actually build this with my roommates or my wife or somebody. I brought it home and then opened it up and realized it's just one big old manual and you can't really share the build too easily. Some amazing artwork is in here, some stuff about the designers, the history of the Lego Star Destroyer in general, and some amazing prints. I mean, just like these old photos just look so good. The grain detailing is so high quality here. Yeah, so it's nice. It's what you'd expect and what you'd want from a UCS. Oh, that's so good. It looks like clearer than I don't know how to describe it. The print here is really, really high quality. I love that, the way that looks. And then, of course, you've got your basic, the rest of the instructions goes all the way down. Okay, so that's the instructions, and let's get out the, let's get the box. This thing is the same size as the UCS Falcon. Less pieces, of course, but same size box. Some amazing artwork. I just really like the angular design here. This is the ship on the Carillion, the Carillion shipyard, and I did think that was an AT-AT, but it's actually some other Imperial walker. People pointed it out in the comments below, so rumor officially dead on my part. I thought it was going to be a rumored AT-AT set for the next year, but anyways, yeah, there's the box. That's the set. Let's get it back. Let me talk about it one more time. Now, coming from someone and a group of people that really love to build high quality, very accurate Star Wars models, this is the kind of improvement that we're really looking for. It just looks a little bit better, looks a little bit more accurate. The shape is just a little bit more dynamic. The build quality feels more solid, like the greebling won't fall off. It's easy to handle. You can pick this thing up and move it around a lot more. You can do it with less anxiety. Maybe I should say it that way. At the end of the day, this model is an improvement, I would say, across the board. The minifigures are whatever. I mean, they're there, so I guess that's a plus, but it does feel like a little bit of a missed opportunity to have exclusive figs and then them be just random crew guys that no one's really going to care about. But at the end of the day, I'm really, really happy with the way LEGO has decided to improve their Ultimate Collector Series Star Destroyer. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? We're pretty big fans here. You'll see this up on top of some giant displays in the next video. Hopefully these two will be facing each other. That's sort of the way I fantasize about having them in the studio here. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault. Hey everybody, just jumping in, wanted to let you guys know that we've got a LEGO web store, www.brickvault.toys, where we sell the PDF step-by-step instructions for some incredibly awesome LEGO MOCs. The revenue from the web store helps support us here at the channel, as well as the designers that help make these amazing LEGO creations, and it's definitely worth checking out if you guys want to take a crack at building some of the more high-quality, detail-intensive LEGO builds. That's www.brickvault.toys, and thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time at BrickVault.